He's Tass. It's the Metzger Tassoul Show.
Well,
we're live.
We're live. And it's not Metz, it's Chris. It's the Rodriguez Tassoul Show. How are you?
They should have redone the intro. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. But, you know.
Brian's slacking over there.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm actually excited for today. It's always a good day when I get to spend a small amount of time with you. Large amount, not so much, but small amount.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I have my my brother-in-law coming in town this next week, and I called him earlier. And last year, my nieces they brought some friends out, and I guess they were talking. And because of the MAIA event, of course, it'll be a little short-lived for me to hang out with these guys. And one of the friends that I had talked to last year of my nieces, I guess they were just out not that long ago, and they said, "Hey, just so you know, you're only going to see your uncle for like a day." And the friend goes, "Oh, well, a day with him is plenty."
It is.
So
see, it's not just me.
More people share that sentiment than just you. So anyway,
well, it's not just the two of us today, right?
It's not. It's not. I'm excited to bring on Mr. Kyle from People Trendy, because he also is the one who got me addicted to Alani's at the last event that we had. But more so, I'm excited to bring him on because I know that, and this is in your wheelhouse, right? Is the whole social media presence and being omnipresent and really taking things to the next level. So I know we've got several clients that are working with him. We've got clients that have gotten a lot of results, but we'd love to bring him on. If we can bring him on, that'd be great, and we'll go from there. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Kyle,
I'm here. What's going on, guys?
How are you?
Good. Got a new face on the left over there, Chris. You're not Metzger.
I am not. I have more hair. That's
yeah, you got better looking.
Yeah. Well, less, but still more than Metzger.
Exactly. And this is actually my second time getting to hang out with Kyle this week, because I saw him at the crack of dawn on Tuesday, filming videos 7 a.m.
That's right.
Twice
That's
now
right.
This week.
I know. Hopefully, I'm not like overusing my quota.
Well, welcome, Kyle. I'm not sure if you saw it, and I said, thanks to you, I'm now addicted to Alani's from the.
Dude, we got him. Hey, well, at least I'm not alone in that addiction, man. But they're good. They are
good. Yeah.
Hey, we'll be passing them again out this time. So.
Good. Listen, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you on, and I know I've got some friends and some clients as well that we've sent over that I've been seeing pop up in my feeds, and I know they're excited about the things that you're doing and helping them with. But I think this is something, and we'll talk about your services, right? But whether someone uses your services or not, I think there's a lot of things that people can learn from. The strategies, and whether that's utilizing a service like you guys have or them starting to do it on their own. And listen, I'll be the first one, just to be honest. I mean, I am horrible on social media. Horrible. In fact, my girlfriend.
You even have a profile? Like, are you even?
Well, that's so funny, because my girlfriend said to me the other day, she goes, we've been together a long time. It'd be nice if you'd like maybe change your status on Facebook or post some pictures. And like, well, I said,
it ain't official until it's Facebook official.
That's right. That's right. And so I said, when's the last time that you ever even saw me post on social media? So I'm gonna get schooled today as well. Just don't bring up my profile and tell me all the things I'm doing wrong. Just give me an opportunity to go fix them and give me some good strategies. So without further ado, Mr. Kyle, pleasure to have you, my friend. Maybe give a little background, who you are, what you do, and maybe how you got into this niche.
Yes. Well, I love that you just said that, because my goal by the end of this is that anyone can go start implementing what we're going to talk about today and get better results than they're getting currently, and be going on the different direction, and at least have a high level overview of like, okay, sometimes direction's all we need, right? Like, it's like, well, what should I be creating? Where, what should I be talking about? How do I structure it? So those are all things I'd love to touch on, to where anybody who hears this can now start by tomorrow, get their first post up, and be moving in the right direction. But I'm Kyle Craichy. I'm the CEO of People Trendy. And so we specialize in content creation that is designed to help people go viral and to grow a massive brand. And then in turn, once you have the massive brand of people that know you, that love you, that trust you, that you've provided so much value to them through their content, that now they want to buy what you have, sign up, get to know you better, private code, like it goes, we'll go into that a little bit later, but the list goes on and on and on about where you can take that too. But it's no secret that a massive brand is incredibly important for your business, and it's no secret that social media is the single most leading edge way in order to make that happen right now, right? Like we think of the early days of even Google, like where Google was the hot thing. The people that jumped on that early were the ones that saw the most reward for the cheapest and the fastest growth. And then as things get more and more competitive, it gets more and more difficult to grow like stuff was in the early days, right? So Google, all internet did that initially. Then those, Google, then Facebook had that same curve. YouTube, people that jumped on it in 2007 were growing really, really quickly, no matter what kind of content they're putting up. And then now you have Mr. Beast that's spending $4 million per video to be the top guy on the platform. That didn't even exist back then. So what I want everyone who's listening today to realize is the martial arts community right now is the glory days of growing on social media. The supply and demand has a massive amount of people who are wanting to consume content. And you think of martial arts in general, it's like a very cult-like following in a good way. It's a healthy way to do that, but because it's healthy for the body, healthy for the mind, discipline, self-defense, all these different kinds of things. But people who love it, like take jiu-jitsu for instance, people watch all the podcasts, read the documents, consume all the content, want to train every day, it's like consumes their life, which is amazing for content creators, because if you're creating in these niches, then you have tons of people who want content and not a whole lot of people are creating it. So it's really a glory day for growing really, really quickly. So for instance, like in the MAIA community itself, because sometimes we hear these stories and it seems far away, or it seems like, someone was just ridiculously special in order to make that happen. But in the MAIA community, I think we have 10 people who are associated with you guys right now that all have had explosive growth. From the guy at the top is Matt Arroyo, who he's grown over almost 550,000 followers on Instagram alone. 200 something thousand on TikTok, 200,000 on YouTube, 200,000 on Facebook. So it's across social media. To Malachi Friedman, Vivek Nakarmi, I think it's his 4th month, and he's over 100,000 followers already, or 5th month by now. You had just sent us after MAIA, Jason Nene, who does Filipino martial arts. The dude, we just finished the 1st month with him. He's almost at 70,000 followers on TikTok. To Chris, you've grown like 15,000 in the last 2 months or so, right? 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. When I first started, I didn't listen to you, which was hindsight's 2020. And for me, I no longer own a martial arts school, so my goals are slightly different. But I finally did start listening to you and instantly saw 15,000 followers in about a month. So I think we're in a really great position with martial arts, because it's not like we're accountants. Like if you were going to create content as an accountant or a lawyer, like how boring. What are you going to just show videos of spreadsheets? Like martial arts is dynamic. It's super cool looking. And, I obviously you've been doing this with multiple school owners in martial arts and having a lot of success with it. I'm curious to know, what do you think is the biggest mistake you see a lot of business owners in general? What are the mistakes that they're making when it comes to content?
The biggest mistake creators make when it comes to making content is they're creating content that they want to create instead of creating content that their audience wants to consume. And that's the easiest reverse engineer to do, because if you can think, instead of, oh, I have an extra class on Tuesday night that I want to promote. Hey, my class is on Tuesday night. Only your school will want to see that. It won't get outside the walls of that. But if you can think of, okay, not as a promotional platform, but as what kind of value can I give my ideal audience? And so there's 3 different kinds of value you can give. Most people go for the entertainment route. Very difficult to make it because there's tons of people doing it. It's a very day-to-day process too. Yeah, what's the trend today? What's something going on? Inspiration's the next one, which I do like. It's just hard to make at massive scale. So education is my favorite, right? Because if I'm a black belt and you want to get to be where I'm at, or you want to improve in your art, and I'm giving you free tips on how to do this in a very engaging way, of course you're going to follow me. It's a transactional relationship, right? So if you can get outside of what you want to create and start focusing on who's my ideal client, what kind of content are they looking for, what kind of content are they wanting to consume and getting value from, if you can make that connection, you're going to and then it's just a matter of having the algorithm help you make that connection by finding that group of people. If you can do that consistently over time, you will find that group of people. And that's where absolute explosive growth happens, when it's like, not what can my content do for me to get you to watch me, but what can I provide you that you're actually actively wanting to consume.
So I've got some questions, right? And I know Chris will and you guys are the social media experts, but I'm the white belt over here that has questions for you. And it's interesting. And maybe I'm misspeaking when I say this, but a lot of times, over the last several years, with our elite family as an example, from a business perspective, bringing on I'll say karate school, taekwondo school, right? Those schools have been very easy to bring on, easy to ramp up. The mindset is right? Like for most of them, and they feel like they can implement some of these things. And the BJJ community, the MMA community, it's always, they feel, right, like putting a square peg in a round hole, so to speak. But I think, and I get this where I may misspeak, but I feel like the inverse of that is the case with where we're at with the social media side of things. I think on the BJJ and MMA side right now, I think there's this is not that won't work for me. Now I'm the karate guy going, well, how am I going to make that work for me? I feel like the BJJ client coming into elite, where like BJJ's in vogue, MMA's vogue, like everybody wants to learn it. There's this cool factor to it, right? And the karate and taekwondo may not be as cool as it was once before. And so do you sense that do you feel that is well, number one? And then I guess number two, if that is the case, right? So good news for BJJ MMA people, start producing content, right? And you probably are going to have a quick lever up. But the karate guy, right, in me is like, okay, well, hey, help me out. It's different for our industry. How do we do that in our industry? So kind of two-pronged approach there,
Yeah.
but I'm just curious.
That's a great question. And I would say to that these formulas that I'm talking about, from a solid hook that captures people's attention, and then maintaining people's retention by providing a tremendous amount of value. This isn't a BJJ exclusive thing. This is not we have Muay Thai, Filipino martial, like a ton of people, and that's just martial arts. But the same formula works for other niches and stuff too, right? Like we've done everything from pastors to politicians. We did Robert Kennedy Jr.'s entire presidential launch, and the same principles apply, because it's not a BJJ thing. It's not a Muay Thai. It's not a karate thing. It's a human nature thing, right? It's a human nature of consumption. And now, for instance, social media as a whole, it's like, well, that's only for a type of people. Everyone likes social media, but then they have different sub niches and sub interests in there, right? So even though the pool of people for different things may not be as big as something else, for instance, if you do underwater basket weaving, like that's probably not a very huge group. You don't need 10 million followers if you have that. I may have invented it. So follow my channel. No, I don't know. But for if it's something super obscure, which there are things that are that, you could have a community around that. It may not be as big as something else, but it's very targeted at the same time. But when it comes to karate, taekwondo, anything, I have not found a single thing that does not do well, because those are very established arts, right? So you think of even something like golf. It's like, oh man, it's huge, it's whatever. But then as something gets bigger, the subcategories start becoming alive, right? Like two and a half years ago or so, if someone was like, oh yeah, martial arts as a whole, or MMA as a whole, that would be good, because it was so, like, if you went any more narrow than that, it would be too difficult to find an audience, because the algorithms didn't have data on collecting all of that. But now everything is just getting so good and so targeted to where it's not just jujitsu. It's jujitsu and then jujitsu for smaller people, the jujitsu for, the over 40 guys. And then like, it's just going to sub segment out. So for instance, like a karate, like a taekwondo, there's no reason why I could see that would not work. It's very flashy. It's very showing. But again, in order to grow, the best engaging videos are things that get saves and shares, right? Obviously likes and comments are great, but the saves and shares, that's why a talking head video can't compete with something where you're demonstrating or where you're showing, hey, I grab my grip like this and then I go like, it's like, why? Because I'm like, oh shoot, I'm at work right now watching this, but I want to practice this when I get there later, so let me save this for later. Or, oh, I was just telling my friend about this, let me send it, this will help him, he wasn't able to kick me in the head because of whatever, here's stretches that you should try. All these different kinds of things are tapping into the human nature of the consumer side, not so much just the what I want to talk about side, which is why they work kind of no matter what vein you put them in.
So you talk about, which if it was me, it is me. I'm doing this right now, but I'd have a pen and paper and I'd be writing some of these things down, right? So number one problem that Chris asked you, hey, it's create. Number one problem is you're creating content that you want to create, not content that people want to consume. So how do you, in the martial arts, right? There's a lot of egos, right? So how do you determine, well, what is it that people want to consume? Like, well, who wouldn't want to do this? Like, look at what I'm doing. This is great. So how do you determine that factor? And
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if there's that's the secret sauce, but is it, because in my mind, I'm thinking like, well, okay, create content that people want to hear. Maybe that's, this is where it's the boring side of things, right? Like, well, what's the class schedule? Is there a contract? Do you charge testing fees? Do you teach by age group? So all of those things I would think are things that we need to educate people as to what it is, what we do, why we do those things, right? But then of course there's the physical attributes of things as well. But how do you determine what content people want to consume? Is that put a video out and hey, it didn't get this many X many likes or shares or loves or whatever it may be? We got to go a different direction. Is trial and error, or is there a recipe for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you're starting out, the best place to know what is working is to see what's already working, right? And so like you can either guess, and I think people would like this, and you could throw stuff against the wall and release stuff. You could go about it that way. Or the way we do it is we reverse engineer the niche as a whole. Who are the best performing people in the niche? Who are the ones that are already putting out content? And there's two ways to look at that. People at the very top and people who are the fastest growing. We like watching the fastest growing because, for instance, The Rock creates content. It's not because his content's good, it's because he's The Rock. That is why it's getting, you know what I'm saying? So you got to look through that a little bit, but then who is like hot right now because of the content that they're making. And if they are growing, we got to think of algorithms are just data in and data out, right? Like, so like what's going on? I'm getting this, I'm getting these inputs and I'm getting this output. If someone made a video on a certain topic and it performed very, very well, you now know that there's an audience for that topic, that style of video, and you can look at a few different levels of that, right? So for instance, who are the top people in karate? What kind of content are they putting out that's performing really well? And what we like to talk about is stealing the hooks, right? So if you said, the secret to a devastating head kick, right? Like, it's like, okay, that's a really good hook and that performed very, very well. But then you don't have to reinvent the wheel at the beginning while you're trying to make that algorithmic connection. And I'm not saying steal the entire video or talk about exactly what he did, but you put your spin on a topic that is working. Does that make sense? And then you're able to ride a wave, and hopefully that wave will build your own momentum to where as you start getting people that are now caring about you because they've seen a bunch of things that they care about, now you can start doing your own testing and your own creative flares and all that kind of stuff because that connection is made. But the way the majority of the listeners right now need to do is like, okay, quite frankly, you don't know what works or you'd be doing it, right? Okay, look at the people who are doing what is working and it's modeling after them. You put your own spin, your own experiences, your own opinions, your own stories around it, those topics, and then that's kind of the fastest way to jump on the wave. And then from there, you can kind of do what you want.
Love it. Love it. Go ahead, Chris. I won't play a Metzger. I won't steal the show. So go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, what I love about this is as instructors, we are teachers, and this is educational based content. And you would think if you can capture, 30 7-year-olds' attentions that, span in a class, and you can be a dynamic instructor on the mat, that would transfer once a camera gets in front of you. And that isn't always the case. And you work with lots of different kind of skill levels in terms of how people present themselves on camera. So, what do you say to people that, I'm going to use the term wet mop? Some people are like a wet mop on camera. What do you say to people that, haven't really developed that skill? What's the best way to develop it on camera? And I'd love to know, how much editing magic can you really do on the back end if that skill isn't necessarily there just yet?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'll start by saying this. Nobody is ever like the perfection of comfortability at the beginning, right? So everyone is
Not even
always remarkably
Well, clearly hasn't worked with me yet. Yeah, okay.
No,
what?
but it's skill levels and it's proportionate to where you are. Where you are now is not where you were three months ago, even though you started at a good place. So everyone's place that they start is not as good as where they'll be in literally a single month of doing this consistently, right? So the number one thing is putting in the time and actually just doing it, to where when you realize that, especially on social media, something is better than nothing, right? There's very few things that you can do that's just like, man, this is devastating. Like, you could mess up, you could stutter, you could, all that stuff, and you're not going to get stoned, right? And you'll be able to save it and save it later in your career as you continue to do it. But it's literally the repetitions. And it sounds like a cliche answer, but it's the same thing in martial arts. You go in there, your first day in there, you're not comfortable with the different movements. Well, how do you get comfortable? You just go back the next day and go back the next day. And it's remarkable how many people, how good people get fast, especially too, like when we work with people at the beginning, you don't really know the editing magic that can go into it, I think. And so that's kind of a spark in people's mind that the second time we film, they're like, oh, I know that last time I thought I was doing terrible on this, or it took too long, but it actually turned out really good. I couldn't even tell. Then it kind of gives some freedom, right? Because that freedom of being comfortable and knowing what's going to happen also helps people a lot. But no matter what skill level you are, start, because that's the other thing, that there is a group of people for everyone, and that is the beauty of social media, right? You have the super goth, dark nerd people that are doing certain kind of content and they have massive followings. I would never follow that, but people will. And so it's kind of, there are personality types that work better as far as reaching a broader audience. But at the beginning, that's not necessarily what you should be going for. It's a community. And there is a community for everyone on the internet. So I don't even think that should be a thought that scares you away. It's like, hey, if you're more gruff and quiet and, more well-spoken or very detailed and articulate, like, it's all going to appeal to a different person. And then someone who's super goofy and, funny and joking, and that might actually perform best to a widest group of people. But if that's not your personality, you don't need to try to be that. You need to start where you are, put in repetitions to constantly improve, learn from other people, but don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to the last time you filmed, and you'll notice like a drastic learning curve of just getting really, really good.
Why did you notice, Chris? I mean, Arroyo just piped in when he said goth, dark kind of people. He's like, so true. So I don't know if that's his crowd or I'm kidding, brother. Love you, man. So, Chris, go ahead. Because I've got a lot of questions, but I want you to ask some questions because you're in this every day as well. And then I've got some questions. We'll bring it around back after that.
Yeah, I get a lot of people asking me, like, you're putting a lot of time, a lot of energy. There's, monetary resources going into this. And it's really, and if you look at the other people that are working with Kyle, this isn't happening through their business page. This is happening through their own personal account. And I'd love, Kyle, if you could kind of talk about the power of building a personal brand, because I've had people tell me, well, what if you ever want to sell your company? Right? Like, you just wasted all of that time, and now they're going to have to figure out who's going to be the next face. And my thought is, I'm going to be Chris Rodriguez for the rest of my life, no matter what I go on to next. And I'm going to be able to take that audience with me as well. But what are your thoughts around this concept of like building the personal brand, and how could that help a school owner, become more successful?
That is a great question, because first, from a results standpoint, right? It's social media. It's hard for me to be social with a brand, with a product. It's very difficult to grow those the same way I'm talking about. But when it's a personal relationship based on me learning from you, me hearing your stories, me, oh, that guy helped me with this. Like I was doing this in my sparring training, and I actually tried that thing and it worked, man. You're building the people's trust in you. They know you, they love you, can connect to you, they can relate to you, which is very powerful and very difficult to do from a school page, a business page, a product page, anything along those lines. So straight from a results perspective, I would much rather, and we encourage all the clients, build the personal brand and then funnel people to wherever you want to. But the beauty of it is, if you grow, just hypothetically say it was one-to-one, you grew a business page and you grew your personal page. The business is limited to the business still of sorts, right? But your personal page, now you're promoting your business. You have a new business you start a podcast, you write a book, you have some course, like it now opens up the entire world of opportunities to you. Like you said, now you sell your business. You sell your business with the social media assets for the most part. If the brand is the business that you're going to sell, now you've invested a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and the entire community you've built who are really connected to you, not the brand, are now going with the person that you're selling it to. So it's so much better when you can be the face, you can direct people what to do, but for growth, it's incredible. For conversions, it's way better. For building that relationship with your audience, you can't even compare the two. It's just night and day difference.
I love it. And kind of the last thing, and then Tass, I'll let you ask your questions. I really want to talk about hooks, because I think this is where your zone of genius is. And I was very consistent with putting out content prior and did not do enough research and learn enough about the power of hooks. And the way that you and I work together, like I've got a list of things that I want to teach, and then you do a great job of creating a hook that is going to stop the thumb scroll to get people to watch. So can we talk about hooks for a second, the importance of hooks, how you come up with hooks, because it is what is initially going to get them to watch the video.
Yeah, no, that's that it's the secret sauce is that. And so people on social media are on an eternal scroll. Like, I'm sure everyone's experienced it, or you've seen a son or daughter that's doing it. They're just sitting there. It's like, if you're listening, audibly, it's like, why there's a scroll? Why? It's like, it's literally that fast that if you do not hook people's attention in the less than, I say 1 second, everyone says 3 seconds. It literally has to be out the gate. They're not going to watch the rest of the video. So that's what we talked about at the beginning. You have to provide value in your content, but you could have an insanely valuable video. But if it's not platform specific, and if it's not addressing the mentality of what people are trying to consume on the specific platform, and it doesn't get their attention, it doesn't matter how valuable it is, no one's going to watch it, right? So a lot of people start out their videos, hey guys, this is Kyle from Orlando, and I'm going to talk to you about it. The people are gone, they're scrolling. And so it doesn't matter what I say. I could give bank account numbers with a ton of crypto in it. No one's ever going to see it because I lost them at the very beginning, right? It doesn't matter how much value this is. So knowing that, most people put tons of work into the production of everything, when if they just put extra time into that initial attention grabbing couple seconds up front, no matter what they're talking about, results will go up. And then assuming you are providing value, that's what makes it actually end up being very massive. So a hook, what's an example of this? I think this is probably the best way. If I said for Muay Thai, like, hey guys, I'm going to talk about a round kick today, how to do it. Like, okay, that can be value giving. But if I'm like, hey, this is the secret for a devastating leg kick. No opponent's going to be able to stand if you do these 3 things. It's like, whoa, I'm watching that video. Like, you capture my attention, and you can do this different. Like, there's different tricks on how to do it. There's negative hooks, like, you're never going to win a medal unless you do this. It's like, okay, that's very interesting. What's the thing? I don't want to make that mistake. Then there's the positive of, if you want to be the best in XYZ category. So it's kind of like, okay, you're playing with these different things. And that's how, whenever you have a great idea, some of them are already solid hooks, but if you could spice them up, amplify them, and make them insanely grabby. And it's not just what you say, how you say it, what you see, what's the setting. Wow, all of that is going into the human nature of how someone's consuming something. And so if you can kind of get that together, that's the number one thing that'll transform your entire content strategy. If you do that, you'll get better results. And now there's a lot of other things you can do to take it to the next level, but that's the lowest hanging fruit of, if you just get that one thing down, you're going to blow everythh else out of the water.
Yeah, I love that. The amount of preparation that goes in beforehand, right? I mean, if Mr. Beast is doing a video that costs $4 million, how much time and energy and preparation do you think that they're putting in to that video? And you're absolutely right. It was the same thing for me. I was spending so much time on the content itself and really not putting enough time and energy of, how can I even just get somebody to watch this? And that's one of my favorite parts of working with you, is I don't have to worry about that. I can tell you this is the content, and you can come up with the hook that you believe is going to, get people to watch.
I mean, if you have a karate school, you could have the best teachers in the world inside, but if no one walks in that front door, it doesn't matter how good you are, right? It's the same concept just across all marketing. It's like, first I have to get you to watch this. I have to tell you why you need to watch this. And then all I have to do is capitalize on why I made you watch this, right? Same thing. If you say, hey, we're the best in town, we do whatever in our school, this is why you should come in, and they come in, then you just need to back that up. But the getting people in the door is the most important part, because nothing else matters if no one's there.
So we've got some questions coming in, but we'll get to those to keep you guys on the show. So first, we're going to go through a couple of these things. So, we're big, right? In when we do consulting, to have people understand the why behind what we do, right? So why is it that we do, pricing versus pricing structure, as an example? So, we've gotten kind of, some deeper in this conversation, right? But at the end of the day, the question is, well, why? Why is it, you've made the mention, like, hey, we're in the glory days right now for martial arts, as far as building your following, building a personal brand. If you start creating content that people want to consume, using the right hooks. Okay. But Kyle, what purpose is that going to serve to me? Because and I asked you this question, I think last time we were on, but I think it's important for everyone to hear this. But why do I want to do that, number one? And how is it going to affect, I guess, my business, right? Because I think there's different approaches as to the reasons maybe why people want to do this. But if I'm a karate school, taekwondo school, martial arts school owner, right? Just put it that. Why is it so important for me, whether I'm utilizing your services or be omnipresent and get out and do this stuff? Is that really, because, we talk about the 3 R's, right? We talk about recruitment, we talk about retention, we talk about revenue, as far as the business side of things. So what will this do for me in my martial arts school? Because I also find that we do have a lot of clients that they're busy, right? And when I say busy, they're doing things where they're feeling productive, but they don't fall in the recruitment, retention, revenue. And at the end of the day, like, yeah, but I've been so busy and I got a lot accomplished, and they even feel good about those things. Not that those things shouldn't be done or don't have to be done, right? But clean the school, putting in new doorknobs or that say vacant and occupied on your thing, and door closers, and putting up new banners in your school. Yeah, we got to get those things done too, right? But then we wonder why we're not progressing in our business. What's the purpose, and why should someone consider doing this? What's the value for their business?
That's a great question. And it's the society we live in, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, is a optics driven society, right? So all things being equal, two, jiu-jitsu schools right next to each other. One is very known and is reputable and, a very followed, and a lot of people are already engaging and liking. Which one are they going to? Like, all things being equal, it could be inside, everything's great. So it is, some would say it's a cherry on top, but I think it's the cherry on top at the beginning. But I think it eventually goes to where it's the whole cake, where it's now no longer me having to reach out to you as much as you coming to me wanting to train with me, wanting, hey, can I have you come teach at my seminar. Unfortunately, people aren't doing that for people who are maybe very, very good at what they do, but not known, right? There's people who, I was just hearing a story of one guy who's in a different field, but he's like, man, I was making millions and millions, and I was talking to, I was trying to get on this stage as a speaker, and they would not accept me. I worked on my personal brand, grew that, all of a sudden, like immediately they won. They didn't care about the success of it as much as the optics of it and the eyeballs. And uh, you could say that's a sad thing, but it is what it is. The way to capitalize on it has never been easier through social media. That someone who has spent 20 years of their life doing something, or 30 years or 40, like that, like a lot of the MAIA community has been, a lot of times the recognition isn't there for the work that has been done, right? But when you can, it's a form of giving yourself in a way that will also continue to keep on giving. Because if I teach a class in my dojo, the people leave and then, you know, it's forgotten, it's over with. But this will live on, and it'll keep doing it. You could be recycling it. You could be growing relationships with people that exist outside the four walls of the church, outside the four walls of the dojo.
Yes.
Some people's church for sure. But and also the opportunities that it opens up goes way beyond the current business that is being run. So it puts steroids on anything else that you're doing. Are you running ads? Great, keep running the ads. But if you grow your brand, now you have people to retarget with the ads. Now they run the ads, they land on your page. They're like, oh shoot, this guy really knows what he's talking about. I'm actually going to take action. Now you want to release something that is, you know, recurring online. I can have a course out there, and now I have people that buy everything that you ever do moving forward for the rest of your career, or the next career that you choose, will always be able to funnel through a group of people that know you, love you, and trust you, that you've built eventually years of a relationship with, to where it just shortcuts everything that you're doing. You launch a new product, you're funneling it through this distribution system. Have a second school location, boom. Have, you know, like courses and master classes and seminars and things like that you want people to fly into, boom. You have people now that can jumpstart anything else that it is that you're doing. So I think of social media like a steroids on everything else. It doesn't just replace everything at the beginning, especially. Eventually it gets to the place where it does, but it just makes everything else that you're running more effective.
That makes sense. And, you know, I think, and whether, if you talk to Chris, there's 7 levels of marketing, right? But if you talk to me, there's 5, and I'm just teasing. But regardless of whether you want to say 5, 7, 10, 3, whatever it is, here's what happens, right? And this is not it's a belief, but it's been proven, right? Like most people in our industry that are struggling on the recruitment side, right, will say, hey, GrowPro, I need your help. Here you go. And they push the button, they give them their card, and they start getting leads, right? That's what people want to do, right? I also know at GrowPro that one of the biggest challenges, because I'm one of those clients, is getting them content, right? And getting them assets for them to be able to use. So they're trying to, you know, use assets that they don't have, and they've got to create them for you, which they do a great job with, but maybe not as good as if you produced your own assets, because it's your community, it's your style, it's your this. And then there's this disconnect of, well, this is what they saw maybe in the ad, if you will, and then they come in and maybe the culture is different than what they actually saw. So all of these things, and maybe Chris, maybe you've used some of these videos that some of these clients are doing on their a marketing piece, right? But so 5 levels of marketing. We talk about, you know, social media and email, and we talk about phone calls. We talk about, you know, print. We talk about face-to-face, right? But I think people just hit on the tips of those things. So when we're talking social media, oh, well, let me just do a paid ad campaign. Oh, let me do a one-off email. Oh, let me do a flyer, right? Whatever it may be, as opposed to really diving deep under each of those levels, right? So if you're doing social media, to what you said, Kyle, you know, you have your paid social media, but this is another level of social media that you can push out and you can get out there, that whether if you're using, I'll say it's free, right? But if you're doing your own stuff, it's your time, it's your energy, your effort. Or if you're using a service that is going to get you there faster because they know the secret sauce, right? Either way, conceptually, right, it's free to get that information out on those platforms and to grow your following. So it's another layer deep of social media. Just like if we were to, you know, have a bunch of parents like, share, and comment on one of our, you know, particular posts that we do, doesn't cost us anything to get our people to do that, to help that go viral. Or if we want to post in a local group, potentially that we have, a mom's group or whatever it may be. Like, how many layers of social media can we go down? But we typically just stop at one as opposed to doing all. So, you know, I love the concept, and I'm thinking like, man, there's questions that parents, you know, because we're in the, you know, kids martial arts world is our primary audience, right? But there's a lot of answers that parents want to know before coming in. And if they're pre-sold before they came in, because there is a sense of know, like, and trust. I mean, I go back to the years and years ago when we would put in the VHS tapes, and I'll never forget watching Dave Kovar, right? And I watched him every single month. I watched his videos and rewatched and watched. And I remember seeing him at an event, and it's like, Mr. Kovar, how are you? Like, it was like, here's a superhero, right? That I've been watching.
Like, you know the guy, yeah.
Right. I feel like I know him, right? So, so developing that over time, number one, and being in a position that you have this content, you've got more, and then you can start using some of those things for your paid ads. You can start using them internally in your school, right? There's so many opportunities for it. But I'm thinking like, okay, there's the frequently asked questions on how to educate people that way. But then also there's all of our life skill stuff. Like, do you know the 7 magic words that instantly give and get respect, right? Like, that's a hook that we could use, right? And then maybe someone's like, well, parents like, well, what are those? And then they start listening to what those are. But then there's the physical side. Then there's and in the physical side, there's the actual martial arts. But then there's each of the weapons that we teach, right? Like, here's the tips and tricks for these weapons. So there's this, like, I can see if you really just stop and take some time and think about it, like, what types of things could we do? For most of us, we're able to kind of open that door and really start pumping out content, because I've watched the videos that you're doing for the clients, right? And they're, what, 60 seconds or less typically is the kind of what you're shooting for?
Yeah, I say one complete thought. Like, some are 60, some are 30. Like, you don't want boring in there, right? So if you're going to do 3 different stories to justify your point, cut that to one story. But if it's a longer story, it's 45 or 60 instead of 30, then I'm cool with it too. Again, it's capturing attention, maintaining retention. But I love what you were just saying, because with a brand, a personal brand that's built with a large community and a large audience, it literally is endless opportunities and endless options. So for instance, that same community that you built, now you have stories and you have a brand that's like, hey, I want to pay you X amount per month just to promote my stuff. We've had people that had their whole entire gyms completely rematted, like custom everything for free, just because of the brand that they had built, and they wanted to be, oh man, maybe if my logo is on the back of their walls for the videos, like rematting an entire space, that's a nice little penny right there that you just saved as a result of that. Other people are getting, their gis and their products all sponsored and then they're able to sell that to their students. Like, the world literally becomes your oyster. Is like, okay, now the main streams of revenue with the brand is selling other people's products, brand deals, sponsorships, anything along those lines, which can be paid or free, right? Like a free product, that kind of stuff. But then there's the other thing, is funneling the people to your business and what it is that you're doing. But then every new business that you could ever want to be involved with opens up some partnerships with other, companies that they're like, hey, you have the audience, I have the ideal product for your audience, let's partner, whether that's paid or business wise. Or you want to, I want to release something else. I want to start recording my classes and release them and have, people all over the world be able to tune in for a subscription of X amount per month. So now it's like, oh my gosh, with what I've built, what do I want to do with it? So it'll enhance everything that you're doing while opening up opportunities that you never even thought possible.
I love it. So I'm just going to keep doing this. So Alani sends me a bunch of cases.
There you go. We got to get that social media up first.
That's right. That's right. I love it. So let's do this. We'll address some of the questions. So Mr. Desjardins, are you saying that we should build a personal page for name brand, invite students and parents to be friends of that personal page, as well as a business page?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I would think of your business page a little bit more like a website, right? Like, it's not, in all honesty, you're not going to get any views and traffic and build a monster community. Like, you could, but you're swimming upstream already, is the fact that people aren't looking to connect with a brand, right? So if you want to do that, put some FAQs on there, put your schedule on there, put different things where people can find that information. You could link to it in your personal stuff while you're doing it.
So
But when you
I was going to say, so Kyle, so just so I understand, so because right now, right, I have an unused personal Facebook page. I don't think maybe I do. I don't even know if I have an Instagram account. I think I do for the martial arts school, right? But are you saying if you're doing, so I should have a personal branded YouTube page, a personal Facebook page, and a personal Instagram, and potentially a personal TikTok? Is that kind of, or is TikTok not as big? Well, TikTok may not be here soon, but.
Well, for now, we'll see what happens there. But while they're there, it's getting eyeballs. So I would recommend using it. Yes, I would have a TikTok, an Instagram, a YouTube, and a Facebook made, and I would do that for you personally. Whether you want to do, a separate page for a couple of things, maybe I wouldn't necessarily do a TikTok business page. I wouldn't necessarily do even a YouTube business page necessarily. I'd run all that through your personal. So you could have an Instagram page, but think of that more like a website for your personal, for your business side of things. And that's just where you're gonna have information. If people find you, you can link to it from your personal. You'll be talking about all of that. So that's all great. But if you're focused on growth, do it all through personal. I wouldn't even mess around with the business side of things.
Okay, love it.
I'd even run ads through your personal. Like once you build that community, I would do that as well. Assuming you got good content on. Now, if it's a page like yours that you've never posted on, I wouldn't necessarily run ads through that. I'd go through your business. Right. But if you're building community through that, I would do it there as well too. It's just an interesting people connect with people kind of thing. And as long as you're providing them value, that's going to be your quickest way to grow. So everything else is just more to do. And quite frankly, anyone out here who's running a school or running a business, there's plenty to put your time into. The last thing I want to do is be like, oh no, you need 6 pages of each thing and 4. No, that doesn't matter. If you want the lowest hanging fruit of what is required in order to grow, those are the personal pages. Secondary would have a business page, but that's just a website. You're not even posting every day, once a week, a couple things like that, just to keep it active. But put everything into your personal and you'll get the best bang for your buck, both money-wise and time-wise.
Beautiful. There you go, Mr. Desjardins. Okay, so to be clear, I have a personal Facebook page that has 1,500 friends. I should have my small 150 people business page now, friend my personal. Yeah.
When we're getting into
business page with 150 people on it, he's got his personal page that has 1,500. And I understand maybe where he's going. Like maybe not, right? Like for me, if I was going to do this right, I wouldn't want to. I don't know that I would go the consulting route on my personal Facebook page, just because there's this dichotomy of, oh, he's trying to tell everyone how to run a profitable martial arts school and generate more revenue, and then I've got students and families that are going, oh, that's what he's trying. So I want to pick one of those directions.
Well, Carlos, I mean, in the statement, it might be even he's saying the backwards that personal has 1,500.
He has 1,500 friends,
and
he only has a business page with 150. So should he get those 150?
Oh, I understand.
Over to the personal page.
More think about Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. For Facebook, I think I would run it all through just your personal to your friends and family and all that kind of stuff. If you're not serious about creating content, if you're wanting, because you already have a big community there of friends that you've developed over the years. But now, if you're like, hey, no, I don't want $1,500, I want thousands and thousands and thousands, then I would create a public page for your personal brand. So it depends where it is that you're at. TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, make them public, make them personal right away, right? Facebook, a lot of people have had Facebook for 20 years now, right? So if you're just like, hey, content's not really a big thought process for me right now, okay, then just keep going through the community that you've already have there. But your Facebook personal page will cap out at 5,000 friends, right? So if you're getting close to that, or you have aspirations of getting bigger than that, you'll need to have a fan page, but it's a personal fan page, not a private Facebook page that you've had forever.
Love it. And then Matt Arroyo asked a question if you've dabbled with using AI for hooks, and have you found them to be effective and they work well?
Yeah, AI is remarkable tool. It's a remarkable tool. It's not there yet in most things. And so a tool is only as good as how you use it, right? So if you say, like, everyone can go now and type into ChatGPT, give me 10 good hooks for this. It's not good hooks. Like they're just not. It'll be like, I don't know, karate high kicks, the method of the masters, or like it's just super vague, or like it's like, okay, I see you tried there, but it's not there yet, right? So I think it's a great tool if you can be like, okay, well, what are some the biggest, most famous strikes in a certain martial art? It can give you a list of that, and then now you can plug those into the formulas that you want. So you can use it as a tool. It's just not a replace, do everything just yet. Same with video. Like, it's getting pretty good at video editing. A lot of people out there that are like, I don't want to put a budget into this yet, I just want to kind of get started. There's a lot of like AIs to put captions and put graphics and things along those lines. Now if you want extremely high level, very efficient, very customizable, that it doesn't exist yet. It's not there yet, but it's a good thing to get you started. But again, it's a tool. So as long as you know how to use the tool, it's effective. If you don't, it's not that good to you.
Right. It's like garbage in, garbage out, right? It's
There
all
we
the
go.
prompting and how you prompt it and things like that as well. And I love the idea of just being more, not that we want to spend more time on our phones looking, right? But if you're deliberate about, hey, looking for those hooks, right? Like, I know the videos that you guys are doing, right? Because I happen to know the people, but also they're popping up. I'm like, oh, that's a People Trendy video right there, right? And so then I'll watch it, and then I'm like, oh, that's a good hook. And the other thing I'll say, and Chris can probably speak to this because she's done it. I mean, if you're gonna do this, you better have some thick skin, and you may not even want to read the comments. And I know I've watched some of your videos, Kyle, that you've done on your page as well, and talked about hey, the people that hate, but there's also the fans, right? And then they're like, there's this argument that happens between the haters and the fans, which also creates social traction. But I don't think this is for the person that's got doesn't have thick skin. I think it's important that and I've watched some of Jason A's videos, right? Great prolific martial artist, and I'm reading some of the stuff people are posting. I'm like, oh my god! And I haven't chatted with him yet, but I'm really curious to see where he's at. So you just got to have the mindset, I think, of, hey, that's going to happen, and it's creating traction, right? And it's creating, and they may even be doing you a favor and giving you, helping you out on the algorithms and jumping you up to the next level. But
It's so funny you say that. Well, it's going to come with the territory, right? So if you can't handle it, this isn't for you. Like, putting yourself out there, not everyone will like you, like, and that's okay, right? But hate is an easier emotion to tap into than love, right? Like, you have people that are married for 30 years, love, 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 love. All of a sudden, they get divorced and they actually hate the person. It's like, wait, how do you have 30 years of something and then a small window of hate, but you hate more than the love you've ever had, right? It's just an easy emotion to slide into. And so one of the tactics we do is actually we call it bait the hate, right? Why? Because algorithms don't know if it's positive or negative. They don't know. They know comments. So now if I get, if the algorithm that's just a little bit blind sees like, oh, 30 comments, that's great. This video, people are loving this. I'm going to show this to a lot more people. They don't know if those are good comments or bad comments, right? But if you're going to comment on my post, Kyle, you're so great, you're so amazing, I love, like, that's a hard comment to get from somebody unless you're some superstar. So it's a much easier thing to say something that triggers someone and get them to, no, that would never work. So one of our favorite hooks that anyone can do with your martial art, any martial art that you can do, this works with, but why jiu-jitsu is the best martial art. And you kind of bash Muay Thai a little bit, and then Muay Thai will be like, yeah, well, jiu-jitsu, that you just lay on your back the whole time, what's it? And then Filipino martial arts, like, yeah, they don't have swords, or they don't have, and then all the other arts kind of jump on like, yeah, but you don't need knives when you're doing, like, so it starts an argument, and starts a like, it's a form of community, even though it's a fighting community, which blasts you out to an entire group of people. So a couple of things, it will come to, your skin will thicken. So it's not even, do you have thick skin? It's your skin will thicken with, after it happens so many times, you become, I guess numb to it's the right word, but it is what it is. But if you can kind of reframe your mind where, hey, this is actually a positive thing for me and my account, my brand, and my channels, because it's always, one negative comment to thousands of likes and views and stuff like that, right? Even if you had like, if someone got, or Chris, for instance, if you got like 3 negative comments, there would be way more positive ones. And then if you look at the likes, there's 1,000 likes on it. So, okay, 1,000 people liked it, plus different people that commented, and 3 people didn't like this enough, and they said something mean and hurtful, whatever. But if you can look at it big picture and big perspective, it's actually very helpful, and it's not that big of a deal, and it's actually helping you. So I don't run from it, run to it. I'm a huge fan of bait the hate if you can take it, but you'll be able to take it in time as well.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy what's going. I was just on something yesterday, that a crypto project that's coming out, and they were just talking about how many influencers and influencers that are now, and this is like probably a whole nother level. It's interesting to me. Like,
Yeah.
my son's going through this right now. Like, he's in a niche right now, right? He's in vintage, but he's not sure how long vintage will be around, right? And so, but he's like, he doesn't want to go down a different niche because he has this crowd that he believes is vintage. But there's a lot of people. I shouldn't say a lot. There's people now that are influencers that are creating all these different accounts with different niches, right? But they're actually having AI generated people that are not real people, that are wearing here's their Lululemon page, here's their, I'm making a Blackstone page, here's their this page. So they're getting all this stuff and all the money coming, but it's niched out, and it's all these different AIs and different profiles to those specific categories, as opposed to, hey, I'm an influencer, and today I'm talking about all of my stuff I'm using in my Blackstone. Tomorrow I'm wearing my Nike stuff. The next day I'm promoting my Alani. The next day I'm doing, right? It's not all of the things. It's they're niching things out, which we have that. My point is, we have that niche right now, right? Which is martial arts. And there are, like you said earlier, there are spin-offs of those things, but it's about how to get creative. Because I told him, I said, I think you're just worried too much about trying to stay in one lane. Like, there's a way, and there's a creative way to spin some of those things into what you're already doing, and utilize the
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective there. And yes, that is true. But then the other thing is, we're talking about kind of two different things. There's growth, and then there's nurturing an audience, right? Right now, I encourage everyone, guys, growth, 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 growth. Like, it's a window, capitalize on it, get as big as you possibly can, because we can fast forward a couple of years from now, it'll be infinitely harder and take way longer, right? And you can look at the growth curve of YouTube just as an example, but everything's done that. So grow, 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 grow. But when you get to a certain, and everyone's number is different. For one person, maybe, hey, I just need 10,000 of a community, and then, I want them to just like me. But if I start creating content from zero, and I'm like, hey, I just want people to follow me because they like me. No one likes you. No one knows you. No one cares about you. I don't even know what you stand. How many videos do you want me to watch to actually get to know you in order to follow? So it doesn't work that way. You have to create what people want to consume, and they follow not you, but the content. And then they start to like you because you're making the content they like. And then eventually you can branch out and do whatever it is that you want. So it's kind of two different thought processes. So if someone's like stuck in a niche that they want to do something else, I say, give people 80% what they came to you for, what they're following you for, and then have fun with the other 20%. You can test it out. And again, this will slow down your growth, but you don't necessarily need to grow forever per se. Once you get to a community that you like, now you test it out, and you're going to find that some other things actually start popping off and start hitting, and some things won't. It's like, okay, well, no, people don't like that. I'll put that aside and double down on the things that work. But that's kind of the thought process, I think, is like, in the beginning, and in my opinion, just this time and season we're in, try to grow as big as you can, because it's attainable now. It won't always be attainable like this. And then from there, you can experiment, you can get outside the box, you can start, letting people know other aspects of who you are. And you might see a little dip in engagement because people aren't there for that. But that's okay too, because then the ones that are, they get to know a different aspect of you and connect with you on not just a singular niche way, but, oh, he also is a fan of this soccer team. Oh, he also is going Family Guy. People try to grow with that. You can't grow with that, but it's actually a great thing to do and have once you do get established.
Yeah, love it. Well, listen, I know we're coming up on time, so a couple things, Chris. If you have any further questions, comments, and then Kyle, I'd just like to kind of maybe you chat about what you do and how you can help people and how they can get a hold of you and things like that. But Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, as a marketer, I think be doing a disservice if we don't talk about the importance of having a great product and service, because the fastest way to put a bad business out of business is through great marketing. So there are things that you need to have in place in your school, some foundational items if you're expecting to, for your business to grow. And I don't believe there's anybody better than MAIA that can help you with those, foundational, knowing your pricing structure, your schedule. You have to have these things in place. So I just, I think that's really important. the other thing is if you want to get to, you know, talk with Kyle, you are going to be at MAIACon coming up, right?
Mhm.
So
I
People
will.
Trendy, yes, People Trendy is our platinum sponsor at MAIACon, which is happening at the Disney Coronado Springs Resort, biggest martial arts conference event, partnered with the US Open. Super excited for that. But like Tass said, Kyle, if people, you know, want to know a little bit more about, you know, what you do, how can they, you know, find out about you online?
Yeah. Well, no, what we do is we do like we take all of this that we're talking about off your plate so that, you know, we're obviously very good at what we do. We're very locked into what's working, which will quite frankly take you a while to learn on your own. So I want to give you the tools to start out so we can start going that direction. But if it's going to take you years to get perfect this whole system, there's a much shorter process of getting there, and that's just coming to us and letting us do this all for you. Because like we said earlier, you as a business owner, there's so many things your focus needs to be on. And though social media is incredibly important, it's that not the most important for you to be spending hours a day, both learning, studying, creating, editing, posting, all this different kind of stuff. So what we do everything from coming up with the hooks and the topics that are proven to work on social media. We do everything from flying out to you or driving, depending on where you're at, and film. We'll film about a month and a half to 2 months worth of content each time we come. And then we do all of the editing. And then every single day we post on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook to where you're growing your socials across all of social media. And so from there, you know, we look at the analytics, what's performing the best, and continuously double down on that, and then double down, double down. That's the path. That's the exact straight path to get viral growth. So we do it all for you. We'll be at MAIA answering questions. We'll also have some pretty cool promotions. So come by and see us there that we'll only be offering at MAIA itself. So don't miss out on those. But then if whether you are just starting out or you're, you know, hey, you know, I'm all in, I want to sign up, all of this kind of stuff, I'd follow me on Instagram as well too. I post daily tips on things that are going on social media, things that will help you with your content creation process, you know, what algorithm updates are being made and all that kind of stuff. It's at Kyle Craichy. And then, yeah, but I can't wait to see you guys at MAIA. You shoot me a DM over there too if you're like, hey, I don't want to wait to MAIA. I want to get started right away. But I will say at the last MAIA convention 3 months ago, if you would have signed up then, we have, I think it's 6 people that all have grown over 10,000 followers in that period since then. One guy grew from 7,000 followers when we got him. It's Fight Science Collective. He's going to hit 60,000 followers just on Instagram today. We have Tim Hartman, his Filipino martial arts. He's grown over 90,000 followers on Facebook in the last 3 months. I think we're in month 4 with him, as well as all the other platforms. But it's like, it's amazing how fast these formulas work and these techniques work when they're properly implemented, that it can transform not only your brand, but your business as well.
Yeah, love it. Well, listen, I'm going to be at the booth for the Alani and your wife's empanadas.
Come on, man.
And to ask you a whole bunch more questions, because I you know, as much as I'm horrible at this, right? I'm genuinely interested in doing it, right, and making a difference. And I think it's important, right? But to a lot of our clients out there, right, same thing. Like sometimes we take things a little slow, step by step, and then when you see the full picture and you understand the reason why and how, like, oh, now you got it, now you can run with it. Like so, and Mr. Chris, I think you just pulled that up, right? But for Mr. Sam Haddoff, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Like, watch the pricing structure video, right? It won't work for me. Listen, I just watched Kyle tell me how all this stuff can work, and I can say, well, I'm a karate guy and it won't work for me either, but it will. But maybe there's pieces that are missing that you need to have questions answered, right? And be able to understand the why behind what we do. And so I would encourage you, whether that's getting with a consultant or if you want to, you know, reach out to me directly, I can certainly explain the pricing structure to you, how to work. But like anything, team, right? All of this stuff takes time. It takes an education. And when you have leaders in the field that know what to do and you want to turn decades into days, right? You could spend the next 10 years trying to get to 10,000 followers. You could spend the next 10 weeks to get to 10,000 followers. That's the investment. Is it investment of your time, effort, and energy? Or do you want to have somebody else help you to do that? So look, again, excited to see you at the event, my friend. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Miss Chris, it was great seeing you today as well. And I know you're excited to see me at the event and hang by
Super
me.
excited.
And yeah, it'll be this season. But listen, appreciate you guys very much. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out and feel free to reach out to Mr. Kyle as well. Thank you for posting that. That's how you guys can get a hold of him and check out his stuff. So we appreciate you, Kyle. Thank you, my friend, for being on today.
I appreciate you guys too. Looking forward. Hold on. Did Matt just say something else?
Yeah. What's funny is at least 20 people asked me if they should do it and asked me questions about it at the last event. And about 5 or 6 of them actually took action. Now this event, those people who took action will have 50,000 plus followers added to their social. Now the same people at this one will likely say, damn, I should have done that. Well,
I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, no,
go.
that's super true. Like in any other niche, and we've done them all, right? It will take 7, 8, 9 months, a year with the same formula, which is actually great results. Most people create for years and years and years, and they don't get to where the numbers that we're talking about, right? But in your space, it's not a matter of a year. It's literally a matter of 3, 4, 5, 6 months that you will have remarkably transformed your brand and now be able to funnel that to whatever business you decide to do both now and in the future. So the time is now. I encourage you guys to jump on it. Those that are jumping on it are seeing incredible results, as Matt just said. And I want everyone to experience those same things.
Right on. Right on. We appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks here, my friend.
I appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
You bet.
All right,
On
guys.
the Tassoul Rodriguez show.
There you
There
go.
we go.
All right. See you later, Chris.